Good evening, everyone in the gallery and also to the virtual gallery. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. We will stand now for the acknowledgement to the country. I'd like to start the meeting by acknowledging and extending my appreciation for the Dja Dja Wurrung people, the traditional owners of the land we're standing on today. We pay our respects to leaders and elders past, present and emerging, for they hold the memories, traditions, the culture and the hopes of the Dja Dja Wurrung people. Now for the prayer. Almighty God, we ask you to be present in this council, direct and guide our deliberations. We ask you to grant us wisdom and sensitivity as we deal with the business of the Central Goldfields Shire. May each decision that we make advance the well-being of all our residents. This we pray. Amen. Item 1 on the agenda is apologies and leave of absence. There is no apologies or leave of absence. Number 2 on our agenda is declaration of conflicts of interest. Are there any conflicts of interest, councillors, in tonight's? There are nil. Item 4 on our agenda is the confirmation of the minutes from previous council meetings, and that was at 24th of September. Do I have a mover for those minutes? Councillor Meyer. Do I have a seconder? I will put that to the vote. All in favour? That's unanimous. Item 5, minutes of delegated and advisory committees. There are no minutes. Do you have any? No. No minutes to delegated and advisory committees. Number 6 is petitions. There are no petitions at tonight's council meeting. We're getting to number 7, officers' reports. 7.1 is the first report on tonight's agenda, and that's entitled the 2024 to 25 annual report for adoption. This is an officer's recommendation, and that is on page 4. Councillors, do I have a mover for this or a motion for this item? Councillor Jake Meyer. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Long. Do I have any objections?
Need to.
Would you write out the recommendation,
read
please?
the motion.
Recommendation that Council adopts the Annual Report 2024-2025. Notes the Annual Report 2024-2025 has been prepared in accordance with the Local Government Act of 2020. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And we have got a seconder in Councillor Long. Do we have any objections to this item? No objections. Councillor Meyer, would you like to speak to this item?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report's pretty well written in front of you. Shane's done a wonderful job with this. It highlights the annual report includes successful Victorian Australian governments with the 2.5 million secured for the new pavilion at Delidio Reserve, and 7.5 million towards the Maryborough outdoor pool, and the 2 million delivered for road safety upgrades. If you've read through this report, guys, it's a great report that Shane's put forward to the council tonight, and I highly recommend to grab a copy of it and have a look through it. It's pretty straightforward, thank you. So, thanks, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Long, would you like to speak to this item?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you to the officers for putting this together. I always think the annual report is like a yearbook. It describes everything that's happened during the year, and every time I read it, I'm just amazed with how much actually got done. Very nice to see Energy Breakthrough on the cover, which of course is in 4 weeks today. We'll be in the thick of it. The other things that I really enjoy looking at is on page 5 is the demographic of our shire, where everyone's from and just what people live here, and then the services that council provides I just can't believe that for such a small shire, we managed to do so many things. So well done to the officers. Yeah, great report. Anyone at home, have a read of it. You might think it's just another dry report that's, you know, a bit boring, but they're actually really, really well written. There's lots of pictures if you're into that sort of thing. I know I am. So, yeah, have a read of it. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. I will now open for debate. Does any other councillor wish to speak to this item? Councillor de Villiers.
So I've enjoyed reading the annual report and would like to see it adopted. Reading it, I'm feeling really proud about the achievements of the past year. We don't always realise what the officers are doing, but this gives us an opportunity, gives us a snapshot of a financial year that we've just delivered on. And as Councillor Long has been saying, I would also like to extend my thanks to the executive team and their workforce for the input in producing this very reading-worthy document capturing the highlights of the past financial year, 2024-2025. On a personal note, the past 15 months have been a time with lots of changes for the staff, with our CEO, Ms. Rafi, resigning. Then we had an interim CEO for 9 months. And I'm sure everybody welcomed the stability that the appointment of our new CEO, Mr. Peter Harriet, brought. So thank you. So I would like to encourage everybody to read this report to gain an insight as to the complexity of what this organisation is delivering for us, the public, the inhabitants of the Central Goldfields Shire. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor de Villiers. Anyone else wish to talk to this item? I will now put the item to be moved. All in favour of this item? And that is carried. We're moving on to 7.2, second report on tonight's agenda. And this is entitled Council Plan, Action Plan and Community Panel Outcomes Report for Adoption. Now, this is a critical document because it sets the strategic direction for local government for the next 4 years. It provides a framework. Do I have a mover for this motion? Or do I have a motion for this item? Councillor de Villiers.
So that's for the council plan. You can just find it.
7.2.
So, that's a lot. Can I abbreviate it, or do I have to read all of it?
Have to read.
Either read it or just
Okay.
refer to the motion on the page.
Recommendation.
Just say that again.
You can just refer to the recommendation on page 81. Talk to it.
Page 81.
Oh, good. Okay. So basically, there's 6 items. It's part of the recommendation. So I would urge you to read it. I'm not going to read all of it because it's going to take us all night.
Councillor, you must move the motion
You have to move.
as the recommendation
As the
on page
recommendation.
81.
Okay, sorry, still got my outlets. So I move this recommendation as stated on in the officer's report.
And read it out.
And read it out. No,
don't
I don't have to read it out.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
All right, thank you. Do I have a seconder for this motion? Councillor Murphy. Councillor, do I have anyone against this motion? Councillor de Villiers, would you like to speak to this motion?
Yeah, just a short one. What I found really interesting is that the previous council plan, the previous 4 years, this is luckily my second term, so you know the ins and outs of council and what's happening on council. Initially, as a newbie, it's really confronting and confusing to get to know and learn the mechanics of council and how it works. So the council plan, the previous council plan, 2020 to 2024, was developed by the previous group of councillors we had. So this council plan that we're adopting tonight is a new council plan that was developed by the current cohort of councillors that we have. And it's interesting how it changed from the 2020 to 2024 to the new one. And I think the biggest change, personally, that I really appreciate is the fact that we have determined in the previous council plan 4 pillars or 4 themes that determined our actions the past 4 years. And just to refresh, it was communities' well-being, growing economy, spaces and places, and leading change. The new cohort decided to make it into 6 themes, and I think which enables us a little to have sort of more clarity and in terms of what we want to achieve. So the themes are economic growth and prosperity, and healthy, connected and safe communities, informed and engaged community, infrastructure, resilient and sustainable community, and then also sound leadership and financial management. So, so that's just in short what the new council plan is all about. So it's on the council website, it will be available for display, and you're welcome to download and have a read.
Thank you, Councillor de Villiers. Councillor Murphy, would you like to speak to this?
So this is my 4th council plan. One I only had 9 months of, but this is my 4th council plan since 2012. They're important for a number of reasons, but they're important because the state government wants this to happen by the end of October. That's fair enough, they want to see which way you're going. But they're important because we come back to it and say it's in our plan, and that's how we get funding. Things aren't in the plan or they don't see it in that way. You know, it's hard to get funding. Hard to get funding for just picking something out of the sky and say, well, it wasn't in the council plan, but we feel like this now. So there's an overall arching of the council plan, which is over 4 years, overall feeling of it, and then each year there's which way we're going to go each year, with what we're looking to do. E.g. Delineo Reserve. This is how we, E.g. the recreation for the cricket pitch or the tennis courts or this or that. So it's something which, I'm not quite sure if I handle that we have to have this done by October, it's got to go to state government, everyone's doing this. And it's something that's just another one of the things that has to be done. But it does work in those ways. I'm a bit of a kickbacker on it at times. The staff have done a good job on this because we had a lady who was doing it for around about 3 or 4 months, and then resigned and went and she'd been here for the 4 or 5 years before that and really ran a good ship and ran a good plan. And then people came in and took over and made it happen, and it worked. It's worked. A bit of an upheaval, but it's worked. And you can only have to compliment the group who did it. And the consultation with the community was good, and there's a fair amount of consultation. And we've got to an end point, but each year it develops. So that's the basis of it. Then it's year 1, that's what we look at, and year 2. And we've got to look at those sort of things. So I'm happy to go forward with this council plan. 1, we have to, because the end of October. 2, it shows us a way forward, and it's how we get funding for the future and how we go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy. I will now open for debate. Would anyone else wish to speak to this item?
No, thanks, Mayor.
Given there's no one wishing to speak to this item, I will now put the motion. Those in favour? Those in favour, hands up please. Those against this motion? I will call a division to this. Those in favour? Councillor Long, Councillor Green, Councillor Lavella, Councillor de Villiers, Councillor Myers and Councillor Murphy. Those against? Councillor Bartlett. Thank you. 7.3, and this is the 3rd report, and it's entitled Financial and Asset Plan for Adoption, and it's on page 170. Do I have a mover for this motion? No movers for this motion? Councillor Murphy.
170.
170.
Okay. So the draft financial asset plan. The recommendation is that council adopts the attached financial plan 25 to 35 as attachment 1 to this report and asset plan 225 as asset 2 to this report. Having considered all feedback received and having compiled the requirements of the Local Government Act 2020. Thanks to community members who participate in the community engagement process to inform the financial plan 2025-2035 and asset plan 2025 and make available the financial plan 2025 to 2035 and asset plan 2025 via council website.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Councillor de Villiers, I noticed you put your hand up. Do you wish to second that?
Yep, I'll second.
Thank you. Councillor Murphy, do you wish, are there any objections to this? No? Councillor Murphy, do you wish to speak to this?
This takes us through to 2025 to 2020, 35. It's 10 years. We've had consultation with the community. We've worked pretty hard with it within this group and to understand where it's going. Again, it's a fluid document. It's where we're basing things on looking to the future. Okay, we're not looking for net zero at 2035. We're looking to make sure this shire is financially sustainable. And that's what we've come up with, the corporate performance general manager to fill in one. Shane. Really worked on hard with this, and we thank him for his ability and his knowledge on this, because we've come up with some great ideas and a way to go forward. But it's something we have to work on all the time. Now, we're like other shires. There's a shire in Gippsland who says there's $6 million in the rent. I know the mayor down there, I've had a chat to him. They're talking about it. All the little shires around here got problems. So it's always like that. You're never going to have a shire with $4 million in the bank and be able to have a great cash flow. We've got to work it. And sometimes in our financial plan in the future, we can't do everything all the time. Things just can't be done. So we have to be tight, we have to be tough, we have to think about the future, and we can't just think about now. We're responsible in this financial plan for the next 10 years for our community. For the community, and in 8 years' time, a 10-year-old's going to be 18. A 60-year-old's going to be 70, and might need care. Like me, I'll be 68 in 10 years' time, and I may need care, I may need looking after. And I know that I can count on my fellow councillors to look after me, but that's just a bit of a side. This sort of thing is that we have to be very much into it collectively as a council group, but definitely as a community, to understand that we've got a plan and we've got to go forward with it. It'll change from time to time. And we may be able to get grants which are 2 to 1 or 3 to 1 or something like that, and we have to decide what we want to do. But you can't do it. We've got a great community. We just have to be financially fiscal about it. We've got a new hospital who does things in there which I've had 2 friends who've had operations, and the urgent care. We've got 3 developments on the go, which will bring in 80 or 90 houses on the go. And I can't say when they'll happen, but 2 are probably nearly there, and the other one's around. But that's bringing in the accommodation, and that's good. And also, what does that bring in? It brings in rates. So we've got to make sure we do the right thing by the houses and by the developers and things like that. Make sure that they're the right for the community, but it brings in income. We need to backfill, brings in income. That's what this government wants. They want us to bring in income. They want us to, because they won't give us the income themselves, and they want to get houses. So I digress a little bit, but this is what the financial plan is, 10 years in the future. in 10 years' time, or 4 years' time, maybe I'm not here. I don't know if anyone here, except for the younger councillors, may still be here. But we've got to leave the next council group and the next council group fluid and viable. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Councillor Billy has given you a second. Would you like to speak to this?
Yep, thank you. I would just like to add, thank you, Councillor Murphy, for that. Just explaining what the financial plan is all about. It's a 10-year plan to try and guide our finances. As you know, we've had a bit of a hiccup, and we are trying, I know the CEO, Mr. Harriet, is desperately trying to get the ship back floating. So this council plan has been drafted in 2 different sections. The first one is a 5-year plan, trying to get back to a positive return to an operating surplus. And then the second one is a 10-year forecast across the key financial statements. And that sort of gives, if we can manage the savings that is needed to get to a positive surplus, so the 10-year, so every year is adjusted accordingly. So hopefully within 10 years we will be perfectly all right. But in the meantime, we still have to deliver services and capital works to the community. So we do have certain challenges in terms of rate capping. Specifically, that's probably the biggest one. And then also state governments cutting back on grant funding they deliver to local councils. So I would encourage you to have a read of the financial plan, because it really makes for interesting reading. I've never been one for numbers. I'm not good at managing my own finances, but I find finances, as it's done at council level, an absolute, I love it. I mean, I'm on the Audit and Risk Committee, and reading this document gives you an idea as to where we're heading and what needs to be done in order to keep this organisation stable and afloat and going in a good direction for everybody concerned, to our own best interest. Yeah, so...
Thank you,
yeah.
Councillor de Villiers. Well said. I will now open up for debate. Would you like to
Yes.
speak to this?
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Green.
I just wanted to refer interested persons to pages 173 and 174 of the report. Under the headings of income statements, balance sheet, statement of changes in equity, statement of cash flows, statement of capital works, and human resources, and then to the attachment itself, the report itself, pages 185 to 195, will have the actual data. That's all. Thanks, Mayor.
So you're just referring to the data
Yes.
here. Thank
Yeah.
you very much, Councillor Green. Anyone else wish to speak to this item? I'm going to put this item. Those in favour of this motion? All in favour? That is carried. Thank you, councillors. Now we move on to our 4th report for tonight, 7.4, and that is entitled D044-23, and that's at 42 Victoria Street, Carisbrook, VCAT consent order. Now, the officer's recommendation is on page 216, but I notice you don't have the reports with you. But that's if you want to refer to that on the website. Councillors, do we have a mover for this motion? Councillor Green.
Yes, thank you, Mayor.
Would you like to read out the recommendation, please?
Thank you, Mayor. The recommendation is wordy, but given that the interested parties are present, I feel obliged to read it out in full. Recommendation that Council 1 notes the outcome of the compulsory conference held by the Victorian Civil and Administrative Tribunal, known as the VCAT, in relation to planning permit application number DO44-23, the 2-lot subdivision of land in the general residential zone, erosion management overlay and land subject to inundation overlay, Schedule 2 at 42 Victoria Street, Carisbrook. Number 2, the council notes that the VCAT conditional request for consent order dated 9th September this year, which is attached, And 3, the council acknowledges that the consent order reflects the negotiated outcomes that address council's original concerns, including revised lot layout to improve integration with surrounding residential character, updated drainage strategy to address localised flooding risks, traffic management improvements, including clearer access arrangements to Victoria Street, retention of existing vegetation where feasible, enhanced landscaping conditions and clarification of permit conditions to ensure compliance with the overlays and transport zone requirements. And 4, the council accepts the VCAT consent order and authorises the Chief Executive Officer, who's present, or delegate to direct council's representatives to notify the VCAT of its acceptance of the consent order by 23rd of October this year. And 5, that council authorises the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to issue planning permit DO 44-23 consistent with the terms of the order and council's obligation under the Planning and Environment Act 1987. And 6, that council acknowledges that acceptance of the VCAT consent order sets aside council's original decision as at the 26th of March this year at council meeting. And 7, that council notes that the acceptance of the consent order, the scheduled VCAT hearing on 7 of September, 7 November this year will be vacated and no further attendance is required. And finally, 8, the council acknowledges its ongoing commitment to addressing broader flooding risks across the community by supporting sustainable development in appropriate locations. This commitment is reflected in strategic land use initiatives, including the Land Use Framework Plan, the Rural Living Zone Review, the update of the Carisbrook Flood Study, and the proposed C44 Seagull Flood Amendment to the Central Goldfields Planning Scheme. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Green. Do I have a seconder for this motion? Councillor Murphy. Councillor Green, do I have anyone against this motion? Councillor de Villiers. Councillor Green, would you like to speak to this motion?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I personally know the objectives and I'm very fond of them and hold them in high fame and character. I have also, in my decision, considered that whilst the council at first rejected this item, that the consent order, the signed consent order from the VCAT, which is the tribunal, the relevant tribunal in this case, that I've cited, along with other councillors, a signed consent order by the objectors. One objector signed for the other 2 objectors. And from my point of view, from a decision maker's point of view, once parties to litigation have consented and have made an agreement by consent, not duress, by consent, then in my view, it would be, in a sense, confusing and improper for council to meddle as another party when the objectors have actually signed the consent order. So that's the critical aspect for me in making my decision. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Green. Councillor Murphy, do you wish to speak to this item?
Yes. 5 minutes. No.
3. No, 2.
Everyone's saying yes, Minister? Well, I'm the Minister. VCAT aren't doing what they're supposed to do. They've rolled this around and around and they're supposed to make a decision on this. They bring it back to council and we've got to make a decision. The council made a decision 3 or 4 months ago. But it's gone to VCAT. Now they've done this consent order. Now it's come back to us to make decisions. Now if we make a decision, if it's not in line with the decision they want to make, which they're not going to make, it'll go to a consent hearing on November the 7th. So, dear Humphrey, help me, please. I don't understand VCAT. Even though I'm saying yes to this, and I see why we say yes, I can this Councillor Green's point of view, but they just made a decision on something else. They didn't bring it back to us to make that decision. VCAT are there to make a decision. Go through this, council time, council office, council everything. We can't keep going back and forward with them. And it's just impossible. They should make the decision. I feel like I'm in a yes minutes Monty Python show. I just don't understand it. I'm going to say yes to it. But this should never have come back to us. They should have just made that consent order and made that decision a few weeks ago. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Councillor, anyone wish to speak against this? And I suspect you have.
Yeah, so thank you, Mayor. This planning application has caused me many sleepless nights, I can tell you that. And it's not because you want to penalise these specific people putting in this order. We need housing. We do not have enough housing to meet current demand in the Shire. However, I have reservations regarding allowing development in a well-established and demonstrated flood zone. As the officer's report stipulates, we, Central Goldfields Shire Council, are not addressing housing development in flood-prone areas as we do with bushfire-prone areas. It is stated in the officer's report that our planning scheme does not have provision for developments in flood-prone areas. However, the planning scheme, clause 71, states that integrated decision-making in bushfire-affected areas, planning and responsible authorities must prioritise the protection of human life over all policy considerations. Our council's planning scheme does not allow the same for flooding. So, and that is the dilemma that VCAT has, and that's the dilemma that the officers are faced with. And in that regard, we need to adjust the planning scheme, but hopefully that will be done with the C44 goal flood amendments that officers are currently working on. The oversight that this human life overall others increases uncertainty when considering permission to develop in flood-prone areas. The report further states, the officer's report, that VCAT must balance the risks and strengths of the planning scheme as a tool and the considerations of flooding risk to life for the proposal. As Stalarup Ward Councillor, having experienced one serious flooding incident in October 2022, and also very aware of what happened in the community during the 2010-2011 floods, I would like this application to be determined by VCAT, as this will then determine and guide officers with future decision-making within Carisbrook and other flood-prone areas in Central Goldfields. So I rest my case.
Thank you, Councillor de Villiers. Do we have someone else wishes to speak to this item? Just not yet. Or you want right of reply?
Yes,
You're
please.
the mover. No one wishes to speak? Thank you. You have right of reply, Councillor Green.
I feel for the applicants and the objectors in this matter. It's been going on for a while. And one of the difficulties with the decisions here is that we make decisions on the evidence before us at this time. I hear fellow Councillor Murphy's allusion to yes, Minister, and I agree with some of what you say, Councillor Murphy, about the VCAT. Litigation is a circuitous route, and I feel for both applicants and objectors, all parties. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Given there's no more discussion, I would like to put this motion. All in favour? That is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
1, 2, 4. Those against? Are you abstaining? So that is against. That is against. So I will do a division. I'll ask for a division. Those in favour of this? Councillor Long. Just senior moment. Councillor Long, Councillor Green, Councillor Lavella, Councillor Murphy. Those against? Councillor Bartlett, Councillor de Villiers and Councillor Meyer. Thank you. That is carried, and thank you very much everyone and all for coming. We're moving on to, for partaking in this item. We'll move on to item number 8, which is Councillor's Report and General Business. The next item on the agenda, do we have Councillor Murphy?
I think this is where I should bring it up, general business. Can I bring up general business item?
Is it urgent or is this a
Well, it
report?
is urgent because the person who I'm bringing that up about may not be in that chair.
So,
About you.
oh, well, I would like to be briefed on this before you.
You can
I can allow it.
I'd like to thank you to the Mayor, Councillor Lavella, and all the councillors would. As this is the last meeting of the first term of council, and we don't know if Councillor Lavella's going through it again or what's happening. I'd like to thank the Mayor, Councillor Grace Lavella, for her dedication, her willingness, her out there happiness to the community in this her year as the Mayor. And I'm just like to say that, and we need to say that because you've been out there for a year doing this. You've put your life on hold to do this year, and as I would say, as for the councillors, and I just will say that thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I feel humbled, thank you.
You approve?
Motion carried.
All right, moving on to item number 9, notices of motion. There are no notices of motion. Moving on to number 10, confidential business. There is no confidential business. Moving on to...
Business number 10.
Huh? No, number 11, urgent business. There's no urgent business. You didn't get the memo, did you? No. And item number 12, it is meeting closure. And thank you very much, everyone, for attending our meetings, and I thank those virtually and present for your support in the last 12 months. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Grace.